Hello and welcome to this episode of Focus On with me, Dianna Mosepele. A number of developing countries look to tourism investment as a possible avenue towards economic growth. We speak to Joy Priya, Principal for FDI Strategies at the Financial Times, as well as Dianna Martin, the acting CEO for the Northern Cape Tourism Authority, on how Africa can unlock growth in this sector. What would you say are some of the primary factors that influence or perhaps also hinder Africa's attractiveness as an investment destination?
I think there are many factors that contribute to creating an enabling environment for investment and specifically tourism investment. In particular, having policies and protocols that are supportive of the facilitation of tourism projects. I think that's something that's really important. Also ensuring that the areas where tourism is going to be attracted to are accessible. So we're talking about airports, seaports, rail and road connections that are really bridging the gaps that currently exist. I think a big topic of discussion is also air travel and how we can enhance the direct routes to some of the African destinations. Intra-African as well as internationally, so that's a key aspect. And I think affordability and skills. So when I talk about affordability, we're looking at labor costs of real estate, costs of rental, as well as skills relevant to the tourism and hospitality sector. You need to have a workforce that's equipped to receive that kind of investment and create the sorts of jobs that investors are looking for.
Now, earlier you touched on access, and also in your presentation you spoke about just your travels or your trip here. How important is infrastructure development in terms of revitalizing Africa's tourism sector?
I think it's very important. It's probably one of the most important factors when we're looking at the sector as a whole. I think it's definitely something which will impact tourism investment, right? In terms of not just how long it takes to get operational, but also the kind of demand that can reach the particular project. If you don't have the right infrastructure, you'll have to invest additional costs into creating that infrastructure. Or it will take just a longer time to become operational, and time is money in foreign direct investment and in general, really. So I think it's a really important point that hopefully can be addressed moving forward.
We've touched on some of the hindrances. Can you share with us some successful examples of what is working? What are some top achieving FDI projects that have really flourished within the African region?
Yeah, I think I'd like to share two specific examples that I've come across in my work. The first is Botswana. I think they've done an excellent job in terms of identifying their tourism product and really scaling it up to the target audience that they are, looking to attract. So they have a really strong kind of wildlife, nature-based tourism sector, but also focusing on business travel and business tourism. We call it MICE tourism. So they've been able to really create a good product offering that is appealing to not just investors, but also tourists. It's an internationally recognized brand at this point. The second example is Ethiopia. I think they've received quite a lot of infrastructure investments that support the tourism sector in Ethiopia. I think in the last year or so, they've secured 3 to 5 major projects, and it really speaks to the enabling environment as well as, policies and government initiatives that are trying to drive the sector forward. They're really facilitating and prioritizing those sorts of investments.
Now, touching on political stability or instability, what is the influence, or what role does that play in terms of increasing a country's attractiveness as an investment destination?
I think when looking at political stability and that aspect of corporate's decision, it's really a risk factor that they need to consider when they're establishing. And again, it relates to the costs, right, associated with that risk. So political stability has tremendous impact on whether or not a location is shortlisted or considered for an investment, because there's so many locations that do have similar assets which are stable and transparent environments. So I think it's one of the main factors that we need to focus on moving forward in terms of creating that transparent, stable political environment, and one that is focused on being open to projects and to international kind of opportunities.
Lastly, you represent an aspect which is very important in terms of bolstering the growth of countries, foreign direct investment. Now, that cannot happen in a silo. Governments need to be on board. What is your advice to African governments or those at helm to kind of embrace and create an enabling environment that will allow more foreign direct investment within the tourism space?
Yeah, I think that's a really important point because, tourism in some ways is very much market focused, and being able to deploy a regional approach to tourism can be a very powerful thing. Also looking at the AFC FTA and the market capture that enables. I mean, that's a tremendous selling point that's almost unmatched when you look at other destinations. So positioning it as an opportunity for kind of the audience, the investors, and as well, for governments to understand what their peers are doing across the market, because there are different offerings across Africa, and I think all of them have their own unique sort of appeal, right? So it's understanding how you can best position it in relation to your peers, but also figuring out what the best practice is. So what's worked on the continent, and seeing how you can factor that into your strategy.
What has been your key takeaway thus far?
Okay, so we are first of all right here at the World Travel Market Travel Week. So as you can see, this is the other side of the investment conference. This is where tourism is already working. So there are these various countries and destination marketing organizations. So we're very happy to bring the Northern Cape to such a prestigious platform, where we can engage with buyers and tour operators from all over the world, including our key markets, to really position and sell the Northern Cape to them. So the Northern Cape, of course, as you can see from this beautiful picture that I have behind me, we are a very unique destination. And especially after COVID, people are looking for different and unique destinations, and also to tick that bucket list experience. And in the Northern Cape, we really had bucket list experiences. So we saw last year we saw a very good return to the market. But yes, we do have some really difficulties that we're facing. Not only the Northern Cape, but South Africa is airlift. Where there is a shortage of airlift, then clients still cannot come. So that is why it is very important to have the Tourism Investment Conference, where one of the items that they are discussing is airlift and the airlift strategy, how to attract more companies that fly into South Africa. Where do they fly into? So the Cape Town is now really covered, but we need to also bring that airlift into the Northern Cape. We need to bring in more flights to Uppington. We need to bring more flights into Kimberley. And that is where, as a emerging business tourism destination, we really need airlift, because you can imagine conference organizers are going to look at how many people will be able to attend the conference, because at the end of the day it's economies of scale. So if it is the clients are struggling to get to the conference, then of course they're going to think twice whether they're going to choose a Cape Town or an Uppington. But luckily, last year we were very in the good position to have hosted the inaugural event. And I think if you can speak to the organizer, it was a resounding success. Firstly, nobody expected the level of professionalism, the level of the quality of the product that we have available. And yes, despite the limited arrivals, it's pretty much 2 flights a day, people did manage to come, and they had an amazing experience. So to compare the experience, it was more authentic experience in the middle of the vineyards. It is totally different than just in another city, another big conference thing. But yes, ease of access will play and is playing a big part in how successful we can be in attracting meetings and conferences to the Northern Cape. Whether Uppington, whether into Kimberley, this is with Sol Plaatje University in the Northern Cape in Kimberley. that is really helping us a lot to attract conferences around educational and the institution. So our partnership with Soplak University is really working for us as well, where we are leveraging around those kind of offerings that we get.
Now, you mentioned the importance of airlift in enabling passengers or tourists that are interested to make way to the Northern Cape. Can we just touch on how government can assist in enabling the Northern Cape to be that destination of choice?
Thank you. That is very, very, very important question. So it's not only government, national or provincial government, but very important local government. So it is on the local part where there needs to be really, really interventions, that the cities are operational, there's water, the city is clean. So all these services are provided for. If there are not services available, then obviously it impacts on the visitor experience. If there's no water, then the guest houses cannot be operating. And when you are coming for a business event or a leisure tourism experience, you want to leave your problems back. You don't want to come and experience. So definitely local government really needs to look at cleanliness, services, maintaining of the tourism experiences within their jurisdiction areas. So all of that is very, very key in making sure that we as a destination marketing agency or even the product that are operating there really is able to do what they need to do, and that is for us to attract clients and for our products to deliver a good service.
And that's how we wrap up this conversation on Africa's tourism investment case. From myself and the team at the Cape Town International Convention Centre, it's goodbye for now.